Hello, today is Wednesday, March 25th, and welcome to episode 574 of Fault Lines, the National Security Institute's podcast that gets you quickly up to speed 3 times a week on the national security and foreign policy debates shaking up America. I'm NSI Senior Fellow Jessica Jones, and I'm joined today by Director of Strategy, Matthew Hyman. I don't know the last time we had him on the podcast, so we're very excited. He's wearing a great jacket, folks, so check out our video. We've got our usual NSI Advisory Board member, Les Munson, and we've Senior Fellow Matt Hayden. Okay, guys, as much as I tried to find another topic, we're back to Iran today. Midday, hump day check-in on what's going on in Iran. But there are a bunch of news stories that have been trending this week. On one story, we've got the United States is deploying somewhere between 1,000 to 3,000 additional forces from the Army's 82nd Airborne Division to the Middle East. On the other hand, we also have the administration. There's been some stories about a multi-point, I think it's 15-point peace plan that has been offered to the Iranians, though there's not a lot of information on what that looks like. There's been a lot of Trump Truth Social posts about negotiations and how they're going, even though on the Iranian side, they said no talks have been occurring. So question mark kind of where that stands and who the Trump administration is talking to. I was reading a Politico piece this morning about who is the Persian Delcy Rodriguez of the region, right? Who might be the future leader. There's a few candidates there, some dark horses. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And of course, there's also some stories, some reports indicating that Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince MBS has been urging the Trump administration to continue the campaign against Iran, viewing the conflict as a historic opportunity to weaken the regime and really reshape the balance of power in the region. So there's a lot going on. We also have the USS Gerald Ford being moved out. It's now in the Med due to a fire in the laundry room that actually displaced 600 folks from their sleeping quarters. The USS Abraham Lincoln was also repositioned a little further out of striking distance for missile strikes. So some stories we can cover. Matthew, since we don't get you a lot on the pod, I'm going to turn to you first. There was a story about Marco Rubio maybe going out to the G7 and pitching our case for their support. Where do some of our friends and allies, whether that's in Europe, whether that's in the region, where are they now that we're a few weeks into the operation?
Well, they seem much more open to helping. So initially, probably 10 days ago, there was a lot of news about Trump reaching out to NATO allies, in particular the UK. He was very annoyed with Keir Starmer when they didn't give immediate support to helping to clear the Strait of Hormuz. And so then Trump, as Trump is wont to do, said, well, we don't need you anyway. We asked for your help. You said no. We were just being nice to ask for your help. Go pound sand. We'll do it by ourselves. Well, the Europeans have now come around to the idea, NATO members have, and then as well as the Australians and others, we need to clear the Strait of Hormuz or keep it clear. And there's like a 30-nation coalition building. Obviously good news for the U.S., but I think the reality of energy prices going up, prices of plastic going up, sort of brought the Europeans in particular to the reality of this problem in that region affects us. And even though we don't like President Trump very much, we probably need to get on the right side of this and help out and be productive partners.
Okay. And Matt, it was also, in addition to the region, I would say a hot week here in DC. There was a lot of tech companies in town. Where do you see, the private sector and the conversations happening here impacting what's going on abroad?
Well, we saw a lot of good investment dialogue this week. So we had individuals that both represented government entities as well as private sector entities from across NATO and the U.S. locking arms to talk about where they needed to make a shift to improve technology and solutions traditionally in conflict zones. This did talk about, are we making enough counter drone technology or drone technology? How are we looking on cyber, AI, and space? And having those conversations really lend that the amount of disruption that people see from this particular conflict, as well as potential disruption should there be an expansion of Russian aggression, is on the minds of not just America, not just the Israelis, but candidly, the NATO community writ large is starting to really move in that direction to be better prepared, to be better invested, to be better solution and hardened and weaponized to take on these challenges. So it was a great conversation. At the same time, from an investment standpoint, we still have to look ourselves in the mirror and say DHS is still closed. We haven't invested in our homeland security as much. Hopefully that'll come to an end soon. But some of that counter UAS technology, some of that cyber-based effort is kind of tied up in some of our own bureaucracy here. So it was kind of a two-step that had to happen this week while we were talking about investment in cyber and investment in counter UAS, and then say, don't look over here. We'll get DHS open eventually. So it was an interesting week, and so we're looking to see how some of this develops. At the same time, it is looking to move fast. So we're looking at companies that have never been in this marketplace before, but have some innovative technology to bring to bear, really getting introduced to really try out their tech in this conflict arena.
Okay, last we got Matthew and Matt talking about how our friends may be showing up a little bit more. But I want to pivot to you, and I want to talk about internally, like, who are we talking to when we say we're negotiating with the Iranians? Who might we be talking to in the future? Who's the new Delcy? Who's our Delcy?
Who's the Persian Delcy? Is it Mohammad Ghalibaf, the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament? Maybe. Is it the son of the Ayatollah, Mojtaba Khamenei? Probably not. He might be dead, or he might be in hiding in a hospital.
It's just handicapped.
Maybe just handicapped. There's some mystery here. There's, interestingly, mystery as to who on the U.S. side is talking to the Iranians. Is it special envoys Witkoff and Kushner? Maybe not. It might be the Vice President, J.D. Vance, and our Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio. There's a lot of
stories recently that the Iranians only want to talk to Vance, right? That's
they only want to talk
what
to
the headlines indicate.
Yeah, which I'm not sure why you'd pick him. Maybe do they think he's sympathetic or something?
That's what I was thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, they really like the memes.
Well, the best memes are of Rubio sitting in the Oval Office on the couch in all of the different outfits.
Yep.
No, but it's fascinating. As the Wall Street Journal headline this morning, I think on the op-ed page, was "The Fog of Diplomacy," which is a fantastic way to describe what's happening. It's totally unclear. I think the, and a lot of people are critical of the Trump administration for having articulated different rationales for the war, different predicates for the attack, and articulating different goals for what we're doing, all of which has some legitimacy. Meanwhile, the kind of through line on all of this is the U.S. and Israel are eliminating weapon systems and things that can threaten their interests and the rest of the region and Europe. That has been fairly consistent. There's this issue of opening the Strait of Hormuz, which is clearly the big driver with respect to the stock market and the price of oil, which we know President Trump and his administration are very concerned about. And so one of the ways you can kind of see through this fog of diplomacy is to look at where is the market today? Where is it this minute? Where is the price of oil going? These things are kind of indicators. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I think it's kind of pointing us in a certain direction. If Trump can actually find someone to talk to in Iran and find this Persian Delcy, maybe this thing is over sooner rather than later, which is probably a good thing.
He said he can't name them because then they may get killed. So we may not know who is the new Persian Delcy until quite a while.
Jones, the other kind of great thing that this has done, if you think this kind of thing is great, is cause all kinds of confusion in Iran. Evidently, everyone is suspicious of everyone else. Who's talking to the Americans? Who's not talking? Who's taking the hard line? Who's not? It's kind of this prisoner's dilemma of, what is the guy in the other bunker saying to our captors, and then what does that mean for what I have to say? That could cause it evidently is causing a lot of turmoil in Tehran.
And we know it probably doesn't matter, but there is a 5-day window on the hold on U.S. attacks on energy infrastructure.
We're on day 3 of the
current
day
3 of 5, so we better find that Delcy soon.
Yep.
I'm just saying, I know you don't think, but that ultimatum is out there. Okay, guys, thank you so much. That's the wrap. Thanks as always to Kelly Crowley, Grace Trice, Claude Jennings, and the entire NSI staff for their help in producing today's episode. Join us again on Friday, March 27th for another great episode of Fault Lines, NSI's podcast that gets you smart fast. We're on YouTube. Check out 3 Dudes and 3 Jackets. And if you like what you heard or saw, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.